Hi guys, I'd like to talk you through my go-to pop-up presentation, the Slip-D Ronnie rig. It's actually incorporating the two great factors from two very in vogue rigs, the Slip-D and the Ronnie rig. I'm using the beneficial factors from both rigs. So I've got the supple Slip-D section and I've got the low-lying pop-up presentation which the Ronnie rig offers. I like to use this in a magnitude of situations. I'm more than happy to cast this out if I found a clear area in and around weed. I use this on silt, clay and gravel. The only thing I would change, depending on the situation you're faced with under the surface out there, I would change the boom section. If I'm fishing on gravel or hard, I'd fish a stiff or fluorocarbon. And when I'm fishing over soft or over any sort of pea shingle, I like to use a soft coated like this one I've got here. That was an insight into my Slip-D Ronnie rig presentation. I'm now going to talk you through the components and show you how to tie it up now. I'll start with creating the Slip-D section, and for this I use 25 soft coated hook link, but I actually use a stripper tool. I take 5 or 6 inches, completely strip all the coating away, so I'm just left with the inner core. The inner core of the soft coated is really supple. I could have opted to use the 25 soft braid, but I think personally for me it's all about personal choice and confidence. This is really supple, gives really nice movement once I mount the mini hook ring swivel on, and the carp really do find it hard to eject. I have 5 or 6 inches of the inner coated from the soft 25 pound. I double this over. You can either take your hook choice now. Mine will be a size 4 or 6 curve shank and the mini hook ring swivel. I'll get the hook now and show you how I attach the hook. Loop it down past the barb. I'll trap the overhand, the 2 loop sections opposite the barb. Then I come down to the micro hook ring swivel. Now we're starting to form the D section. The D section, 2 long tag ends. I'm not taking them back through the eye, just leaving them loose. And then what I do, I get a small section of the 2.4mm shrink tube. I get quite a long piece because the swivel that I attach this to, I opt to use, again for personal choice, I use one of the size 8 Heli quick change swivels. These are really nice, really easy to use. With the levelled arm, which is unique on these swivels, it's really easy to attach the hook. This is the most fiddliest part of the rig. I slide down the shrink tube in. Inside goes the 2 inner sections of the soft coated. Slide it up the hook. I'll get it down in place, and then you're left with what you would do for the Ronnie rig. You've got the shrink tube or your kicker up the shank. I'll then take the levelled arm of the quick change swivel, same as you would a standard Ronnie rig, but I'm left with 2 tag ends. I salivate the quick change swivel, and proceed to push the shrink tube down, keeping the tag ends well out the way. So I can create the D. Pull that down nice and tight. I like to pull it half over the barrel of the swivel. So I've now pulled the 2.4mm shrink down halfway over the swivel. You can either steam this over a kettle, but what I opt to do, I get a lighter, give the shrink just a little blast, get it down quite tight, and you're left with 2 little tag ends. All I do with the tag ends of the Slip-D section, pull them to one side, blob them right down nicely, and push them against the barrel of the swivel. Once you've secured the 2 tag ends in place, I'll give the shrink tube another quick blast, make sure it's really shrunk down nice and tight, and what you'll be able to do now, you'll be able to pull the micro ring swivel away from the swivel as hard as you want to pull, and it will not move, it will not slip out of place. And you can either do that via the lighter, the blobbing system, or you can do it in a kettle to steam it. That's now the hook arrangement complete for the Slip-D Ronnie. Now it's down to choose your boom section, and that really depends on the terrain and the substances that you're fishing in the fishing situation you're faced with. For me, I'm fishing close to a weed bed. I've got some pea shingle out there and I want something that's going to lay over it nicely. So I'm going to use a soft coated in 25, or I might use the new Rock Bottom, which is a tungsten impregnated, soft coated hook link. It's also available in the stiff, but as I said, the situation I'm faced with, I'm going to opt to use the 25-pound Rock Bottom. If I was fishing over anywhere where there's gravel or a rock hard bottom, I would use a stiff boom section. If it's anywhere where there's really nice clay, I might opt to use a fluorocarbon. So it's down to personal choice and what you're confident in, but the boom sections, you don't have to stick with one, there's a variety of choices. Onto the boom section, I'm going to take 8 or 9 inches of this. I'm going to create an overhand loop. Attaching it via the quick change swivel on the hook section. What I like to do, you can use a Grinner knot, a Palomar knot, pull it down nice and tight on the swivel, but I just like it to have a little bit of freedom, so it's got its own piece of movement. So I take it round, overhand loop knot, pull it all down through the inside. Try and get it so it's got a nice little section for a loop. I salivate, get one of the multi-tools, pull down on it, ensuring that the knot's not slipping. It's not stripping any of the coating back. It's really, really nice. That's the start of the boom section. As I said, I like to incorporate a little D there for a piece of movement, and also if I want to put any rig putty on, if I'm going to use a really buoyant pop-up, I'll mould it round the knot that I've created on the boom, instead of wrapping it round the section of the shrink tube or down on the swivel, so the swivel will still have full 360 movement for the rotation. I now add an anti-tangle sleeve, depending on the length of the rig, depending on the length of the anti-tangle sleeve. I'm going to have this quite long so it goes over all the substrate and the terrain out there underneath the surface. Going to lay over it all nicely. Thread on one of the long anti-tangle sleeves. Pull that down. Sort of get the measurement that I want. Take away any of the excess. Again, it's quite simply just another overhand loop knot. Ensure wetting all the knots. Out will come the multi-tool again. Like to pull down nice and tight, even the tag end. I really like this 25-pound Rock Bottom. It's ultra heavy. Don't need to steam that over a kettle. Kicks away nice, and it's not stripping any of the coating away down by the knot end either. Then I'll take away the excess. Not needing that bit there. I'll pull up the anti-tangle sleeve over the loop knot. This will help ensure that the rig is kicking away from the lead on the helicopter setup. Attach the loop end to a quick change heli swivel. Attach your chosen hook bait using the floss. If you are using a really buoyant pop-up, as I said, you can put some putty down on the knot there. And as you can see, that's my presentation for fishing low line pop-up presentation. Having the movement of the Slip-D, that's a Slip-D Ronnie rig.